If you haven't watched the intro video to this new series about using your mobile device to get professional photographs, then do so now first and then come back, okay? Because I go over a little bit of the intro so that way you can kind of know what's going on in this little journey I got going on here. And yeah, so do that first. Go do it now. Go now. I've linked it down below for you, or it's at the eye here at the top. Hey, welcome back to More Cake Yes Mom Badass at Wired. I'm your girl Jelena, and today on using your mobile device to get pro photography shots, I'm going to talk to you guys about using props and backdrops. Let's get started. Now, if you're asking yourself, who is this cake artist trying to tell me how to take a picture? Well, I've been doing this for quite some time. I do have a degree in photography and visual communications and graphic design. So I know a little bit about, I don't know a lot about everything, but I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give you guys some tips that I've learned along the way that has helped me out with using props. Props add so much character to a photo. They can take a simple little blue cake and up the ante even 10 times more. Take this image for example. Now, if you notice how there's a crate here, and that crate is giving me that rustic wedding type of vibe. Props will help you translate a concept or a message. If I'm looking at the same image, the message and the concept I'm getting is that there's something romantic happening. And that's just because of the beautiful enchanted forest this cake is sitting in and the placement of these amazing candles that are sitting next to it as well. Props can also help provide substance to tell a story. And the story I'm getting from this is a romantic, rusted, enchanted forest wedding. Some common mistakes that people use during food photography: not using proper props to direct the viewer's eye to the main focus, right? If the main focus of this picture is supposed to be my cake, but I am putting in props that actually are taken away from that, then I'm not using my props accurately and I'm taking away the focus of my main subject. So you want to make sure that you're putting in what you actually need to showcase and highlight your main focus, which is your beautiful cake. Now, if I went ahead and just used this image that I took, I wouldn't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. The cake is not in focus, which is the main idea of the whole photo. And I have cups that are more in focus than the actual cake. So there's confusion here, and it's not, all these items are not helping me tell the story of this beautiful cake that I've created. So remember, always use the proper props to direct the viewer's eye to the exact main substance of the entire image. Another common mistake is too much clutter. You've put too much in the picture. Now I have my cake, my cupcakes, and then I have 1,000 other things that have taken the focus away. They may be things that have to do with the situation, but they don't fit the moment. Right? If you want to showcase your beautiful cake, why would I have this beautiful cake that I want to showcase, right? This one beautiful cake and then 50 million other objects. No, I've now taken the focus away from it. I've put too much in it. Less is always more. And the last common mistake that people make is not asking the right question. Why would this be here, right? So say for example, you're taking this beautiful photo of your beautiful cakes and then right next to it you have a fork and you're going, why is there a fork, a single fork sitting right next to this beautiful cake? Would that really be there in real life? Is this really capturing this moment that I want to capture, this single fork? No, that concept is, it throws you off a little bit. Your eye starts to look down like there's a single fork in this picture. That doesn't make any sense. So start thinking of it this way. You have your beautiful cake on top of a cake stand, and then right next to it you have a single plate, and laying on that plate is the single fork and the utensil to cut the cake. Now that is telling the story of this cake is about to be cut and somebody will then eat it, because we have our plate and our fork and our cutting utensil, and now it's starting to flow. It all makes sense now, right? It's not just a single fork anymore. So try your best to try to avoid those common mistakes a lot of us make. What are some props that you could use? Anything and everything could be a prop. From the cups that are in my cabinets, the books on my bookshelf. But remember what I said before, they have to make sense in the photo. You can use candles. What does the candles tell you? They're setting the mood, right? You can use, as I said before, a plate, a cutting knife, and a fork, and that's telling the story of this wedding cake being prepared to be cut. Even ribbon can be a prop. It can be used as the details and the texture to show in the surrounding and to help layer on top of things. I love to layer when I'm adding my props on. You may not even have noticed that you even used a prop before. The ribbon that you put around your cake board or the ribbon you put around your cake pop stick, right? Those are all props. Those are all items that enhanced the image of the product. And also, you know, backdrops are props too, but we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Now, this may be a silly little topic to even go over, but let's just touch points on how to use your props. First and foremost, you wanna make sure you're using a unique placement with them. Placing them in the right spot at the right time for the right moment, right? So for example, if I have that fork that I've laid down, am I gonna lay the fork next to the cake, or will I lay the fork onto the plate? At the end of the day, it just really depends on the placement of all the objects you have in the image. Now, if you see these images here, these cakes were created using a box mix. It was an episode that I did for Fake It With Me, which was doctoring up a box mix, and I made 3 different flavors using one type of box mix cake. First and foremost, these cakes were delicious. Second of all, I wanted to make sure I took a photo of these cakes looking like they were organic and from scratch and used all the fine ingredients. But at the end of the day, it was a box mix that I used. That's the, oh my God, she used the box mix, and look how beautiful these cakes turned out to be. Now, if you notice in this, the cakes are placed in the backdrop, and forward, you see the ingredients placed on a cake board. Now, with the fruit that's there, it's not just any random fruit. I didn't use like grapes. I used oranges, and that's because this cake is an orange creamsicle cake. So I intentionally used something that obviously the cake had in it. I wouldn't just put like chocolate laying there. That concept doesn't make any sense. Thus the reason we're discussing the proper use of your props and making sure that you're not doing that common mistake of using the wrong prop in the photo. From the placement that I used, the ribbon in this photo, and the placement that I used, the oranges over here. Now mind you, I tried different ways to kind of put everything. First I had a whole orange, and then I started to cut it down, and then I started to break it away, and then taking pieces off, and then also with the ribbon. I knew I wanted something soft and flowy because I wanted to show that this cake was light and fluffy and delicious. And I couldn't figure out a concept or a way to get that through without the ribbon, right? I needed some sort of like fabric in it to help with that light and airy feeling. So that's why I use this ribbon. So everything has a reason and a purpose of being there. And with the placement of the ribbon, I wanted to ensure that I had it flowing through. Now, if you notice here in this footage, I am placing ribbon around a cake stand. Now, it's abnormal the way that I'm placing this ribbon. Nobody would ever throw ribbon like that. But if you're an event planner or party planner like I used to be, you always want to layer your props. You want to make sure that you have good texture and good color going through there. And I really liked how I placed this ribbon in that particular spot, because the purpose is I wanted it to blend in with the backdrop, which was this greenery and this forest looking whimsical look. And also the way that I laid it down, it's so organic. It looked like it just fell out of a tree and plopped itself right there. That's what I was going for, because I wanted to continue that romantic feel. You also want to think of props as not what they are. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So for example, if I see a beautiful basket and I think, wow, the shape of this basket and the colors of this basket, you know, it goes really well with this cake, but would it make sense if I just sat it next to this cake and stuck things in it? So thinking of the concept of using it for what it's not intended to be used for. So even flipping that upside down and using it as a cake stand could work out. So think of things like that you can do. Everything that you use doesn't always have to be used for that purpose of what it was made for. Now, another prop that we mentioned before is backdrops. Now, people never think of those as props because they think, oh, it's just my backdrop. It's just there, you know, it's no big deal. I didn't add it to anything. You did, you added it to your photo. Your backdrop can always be a prop. And normally that's sometimes all you need, especially when it comes to cake photography. When you have a beautiful cake, your backdrop could be so many different things. So let me tell you guys some ways to get different backdrops in the order in which it's cost friendly. So some great ways that you can get backdrops on a budget are, and that should totally just be its own series in itself, is first, you want to check the free stuff. You can always find something for free. If it's from your own walls in your house, or even your door. If your walls and your door have a certain pattern or texture, those could be great backdrops to use. You can also even use the side of your house, the outside area, or even a broken down looking fence that the next door neighbors refused to fix. And I was like, you know what? Thank God they didn't fix it, because I would use it for some of my cake photography. Now, going up just a smidge in price, you can also check out your local dollar store, or even like a Walmart, or even like your local craft store like a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby. And I think a lot of people have AC Moore's in their area. You can go there and get foam boards, poster boards, science boards, or you can also get those craft papers that have different images or patterns on it. Some of them have glitter on it. Those are really great to use, especially if you're doing treats, like little things that you can use for a backdrop, so that way you don't have to purchase giant backgrounds, right? You just have these little pieces of paper to put little cupcakes on or something like that. Going in the pattern of going up in price, you can check your local hardware store. They have great ideas. If I am not at Michael's Arts and Craft, I am at Home Depot 24/7. Love it there. Before I even go to a cake store, or before I go and get ingredients, I go to Home Depot. Those are where I go for a lot of my ideas, especially a lot of the tools that I need, because some of my cakes sometimes are a little bit big and they do a lot of different things. So Home Depot, Lowe's, your whatever hardware store you may have near you, you can check those out. They have great faux walls. They also have amazing like textured beautiful tiles and different floorings that you can purchase, and you don't have to purchase like a whole bunch, just a few of them to kind of, you know, make the shape of whatever backdrop you're trying to use for your creations. I have a few of those myself. I've hand painted them myself. I've even use them just as is. I've even created walls of my own. See my own wall? So definitely go ahead and check out your local hardware store. And last but not least, for all of you sweet makers out there, if you are a sweet maker, that means you are a DIYer. That means you looked at a cake one day and said, I can do that myself, which means you're most likely going to do this one. Now, this one's a little more pricier to do your own backdrops, but at the end of the day, there's several benefits to doing it. One, you get exactly what you're looking for. And two, you can keep them forever and ever on different projects. Now, some negative things is you may not always use them on every project because they're custom made for a specific project. You understand what I'm saying? So I made a couple of my own backdrops. You can check out those time lapses here on my YouTube channel. They're just like quick little videos that I did way back in the day. They're not very great videos, but I just use like faux flowers to create backdrops for whatever event I was doing. And some of these backdrops are actually for my cakes. If you took a hands-on class from me here in Georgia, you may have seen one of these backdrops in the class that I brought, because I like for you to leave with a good photo of your cake. I've also used greenery for some of my backdrops that I've created. Now, again, these do get a little pricey because these faux flowers ain't cheap now. They're a little expensive. I even created backdrops for photo booths, and that was fun to do also. It's really exciting to see like your work come to life, and then people really enjoy it. Go, how did you do this? And you're like, with blood, sweat, and tears and 50 hours. That's how I did it. So if you're gonna DIY your own backdrops, just know that you need time and you need some money, because those things could be a bit expensive. I hope these little tips, tricks, and hints are helping you out along the way in your sweet photography. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. But do me a favor, answer this question in the comments. Do you feel like your food photography needs help? And if you do think that, what do you think is the biggest mistake that you're making with your photos? Or where do you think you need the biggest help with these photos? And yeah, answer that question, and let's see if maybe that's a conversation we can have for the next video that we do. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, yes_ma'am_sweets. It's right here for you. You're welcome. I post on a daily, and that way you can follow me and see what I got going on a daily. Yeah.